I came home from a weekend at my mom's house, drained from the family chaos, laughter, arguments, the usual. My tiny Seattle apartment felt like a sanctuary until I opened my banking app to pay the electric bill. The screen showed $83.52. I blinked, thinking my eyes were playing tricks. 2 days ago, I had over $9,000. My heart slammed against my ribs, hands shaking as I checked again. No glitch. The money was gone. I called the bank, barely holding it together. After security questions, the rep's voice was calm, too calm. The transactions came from a device you've logged into before, same IP as your personal computer. My stomach dropped. I grabbed my keys and drove back to my mom's, the same place I'd just left, where we'd all been hugging and eating together hours ago. My mind raced, replaying every moment from the weekend. Who was near my laptop? Who'd been in the room when I checked my email? When I walked into the old kitchen, the air felt different, heavier. My sister Amanda was in the living room, sprawled on the couch with a glass of red wine, casual as ever. "You're back already," she said, like it was nothing. My brother-in-law Nathan leaned against the fridge, cracking open a soda, smirking. I forced my voice steady. I checked my account. The money's gone. Amanda didn't even flinch. She sipped her wine and shrugged. "Don't be so dramatic, Alyssa. You've got a good job, no kids, no debt. You live alone." Nathan chuckled, like it was a joke. "We needed it more than you, okay? Rent, groceries, real stuff. Not like you're starving." I stood there, frozen, their words hitting like punches. My mom sat in the corner, knitting, not looking up. "Mom, did you know?" I asked, my voice cracking. She sighed, soft as ever. "You're too sensitive, Alyssa. It's just helping family. You've got plenty." My dad, glued to his phone, mumbled, "Don't make it a big deal. It's family business." I couldn't believe it. "How do you even get into my account?" I demanded. Amanda rolled her eyes. "You left it logged in on Mom's computer. Not my fault you weren't careful." I wanted to scream, but my throat tightened. Nathan shrugged again. "It's not like we bought fancy stuff. Just survival." No one apologized. No one looked guilty. Amanda tossed her hair and said, "You'll earn it back. Don't be selfish." Selfish? Me? I'd spent years bailing them out phone bills, rent, car payments, because they said I was the stable one. And now this? I grabbed my purse, legs shaking. No one stopped me. My mom called out, "Don't forget Sunday dinner," like nothing happened. At the door, I turned back, hand on the knob. "If you think I'm letting this go, you're wrong." Amanda laughed. "Oh, please. So theatrical. We needed it, Alyssa. Get over it." I walked out, their voices echoing in my head. Outside, rain started falling, but inside me, something else was brewing, a storm I couldn't ignore. I didn't go home. I couldn't. I drove to Green Lake Park, where I jog on weekends, and sat in my car, staring at the banking app. That $83.52 stared back, cold and final. I wasn't shocked, not really. I'd been their ATM for years. Amanda's phone cut off? I paid it. Nathan unemployed? I sent cash. Mom's bills overdue? I dipped into savings. They never asked how I was doing, never cared if I skipped vacations or ate cheap noodles to cover their messes. "You're the strong one," they'd say, like it was a compliment. Now I saw it for what it was, a leash. I opened my notes app and started typing. Every payment, every late-night call, every time I said yes when I wanted to say no. Not to confront them, not yet, but to remind myself I wasn't crazy. I'd given too much for too long, and they'd taken it all without blinking. The rain slowed, and I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles white. I wasn't going back to that house, not like before. Something in me had snapped, but not in a bad way. It was like waking up. That night, I'd barely slept. Nathan's smirk, Amanda's laugh, my mom's sigh, they played on repeat. But it wasn't just the money. It was the betrayal, the way they looked at me like I was a tool. not a person. By morning, I knew I couldn't let it slide. I called the bank again, asked for a transaction report from the last 10 days. When it arrived, it was 17 pages long. I printed it and grabbed a red marker, circling every charge that didn't add up. One stood out, $2,800 from an IP address at my mom's house. I'd checked email there, sure, but I never logged into my bank. Someone had waited, watched, and struck. I drove back to my mom's that weekend, not for dinner, but for answers. The roast smelled the same, but the vibe was off. Amanda avoided my eyes. Nathan poured lemonade, acting too relaxed. I didn't sit down. I dropped the stack of papers on the table. I traced the transactions. My account was accessed from this house. I didn't log in that day. So who did? Silence. Mom picked at her salad. Dad hid behind his newspaper. Amanda finally spoke, her voice sharp. You left it open, Alyssa. We didn't hack anything. I stared at her. So you admit it? She shrugged. You've helped before. What's the big deal? Nathan leaned back, smirking. It's not stealing. It's family helping family. My hands shook, but my voice didn't. Helping is when I agree. This was theft. Mom looked up, her tone soft, like I was a kid throwing a tantrum. Alyssa, you don't have burdens like them. Amanda's raising Haley. Nathan's struggling. Family shares. Shares? I almost laughed. You mean family takes, I said. You drained my savings without asking. That's not sharing. Dad folded his paper, annoyed. Don't be harsh. You're the strongest one here. Everyone trusts you. Trusts me? My voice broke. You call stealing my money trust? Amanda slammed her hand on the table. We didn't splurge. It was rent, Haley's medicine, car repairs. I'm exhausted, Alyssa. What about me? I looked at her, then at all of them. I'm exhausted too. When I worked overtime to pay your debts. When I skipped trips to cover your rent. When I ate nothing but ramen to keep your lights on. I was tired, but I never said no. And this is what I get. No one answered. The kitchen clock ticked louder than their guilt. I grabbed my papers and walked out, pausing at the door. If this is family, I don't want it, I said. Nathan laughed, mocking. What, you gonna call the cops? I met his eyes, steady. Wait and see. I left, my heart pounding, not with fear, but with resolve. They'd crossed a line, and I wasn't their doormat anymore. I sat at my desk that night, the Seattle skyline flickering outside my window. The bank report lay open, red circles glaring like accusations. My family's voices still echoed, Amanda's shrug, Nathan's smirk, Mom's sigh. I wasn't sleeping, not with that $83.52 burning a hole in my mind. But I wasn't crying either. Something sharper was taking over, a clarity I hadn't felt in years. I wasn't going to let them walk away from this. I started digging deeper. The transaction report showed more than just the $2,800. Smaller charges dotted the pages, $300 here, $500 there, all from Mom's IP address. One was for a grocery delivery app, another for a car repair shop. Nathan's car, I bet. I cross-checked dates. Every withdrawal happened while I was at the family gathering, distracted, laughing, thinking we were all just catching up. They'd planned it, waited until I was there, my guard down. I called the bank again, asking for more details. The rep hesitated. These transactions were authorized by someone with your credentials. You'll need to file a fraud claim if you're disputing them. Fraud. The word felt heavy, but it fit. I downloaded the forms, filled them out, and emailed them before I could second-guess myself. Then I opened my laptop and started a spreadsheet, listing every time I'd sent them money. 3 years of payments, $92 for Amanda's phone, $3,200 for Nathan's emergency, $1,000 for Mom's bills. It added up to over $15,000. I stared at the total, my chest tight. That was my safety net, my future, gone because I'd trusted them. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I wasn't sick, not physically, but I couldn't focus on marketing campaigns while my life unraveled. I drove downtown to the Financial Crimes Division, a gray building that smelled like coffee and stress. Officer Harper, young but sharp, took my file. She flipped through the pages, nodding. "This is thorough. We'll start a preliminary investigation for unauthorized access and financial fraud. Names of the individuals involved." I swallowed hard. Amanda Walker, Nathan Walker, Donna Grant, Paul Grant. My sister, her husband, my parents. Saying it out loud felt like crossing a line I couldn't uncross. Harper didn't blink. "We'll need to verify the IP address and device logs. If it's as you say, this could move quickly." I left the precinct feeling lighter, not because I wanted them in trouble, but because someone finally listened. Back home, my phone buzzed nonstop. "Amanda, you're blowing this out of proportion." "Nathan, chill, Alyssa. It's not that serious." "Mom, sweetheart, don't make a big deal." I didn't reply. Their words didn't matter anymore. I wasn't arguing, wasn't begging for apologies. I was done explaining myself. Instead, I kept working, pulling screenshots of old texts where Amanda asked for just a little help or Nathan promised to pay me back soon. I had emails, too, from Mom thanking me for covering her bills like it was my job. I saved everything, building a case not just for the bank, but for me, to prove I wasn't imagining this. A week later, Harper called. We traced the transactions. The $2,800 and others came from a desktop at the listed address. No signs of external hacking. Someone used stored credentials. I gripped the phone. So, it was them. Harper's voice stayed neutral. "Looks that way. We're scheduling visits to the residence for interviews. You'll hear from us soon." I thanked her, hung up, and sat in silence. No one else could have done it. Not a stranger, not a glitch. My family. That night, I went back to Mom's house, unannounced. I didn't knock, just walked in like I always had. Amanda was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables. Nathan sat at the table, scrolling on his phone. Mom was in the living room, watching TV. It was so normal it made my skin crawl. "We need to talk," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Amanda didn't look up. "What now, Alyssa? Still mad about the money?" Nathan snorted. "Let it go, man. You're obsessed." I set the transaction report on the counter. I traced it. Every cent. "You used Mom's computer while I was here. You waited until I was distracted." Mom turned off the TV and walked in, frowning. "Alyssa, stop this. You're tearing us apart." "Tearing us apart?" I laughed, sharp and bitter. "You stole from me. All of you knew, and no one said a word." Amanda slammed the knife down. "Stole? You've given us money before. What's the difference?" I stepped closer, voice steady. "The difference is I didn't choose this time. You took it because you think I owe you. I don't." Nathan leaned back, smirking. "You're so high and mighty. What, you gonna sue us now?" I didn't flinch. "I don't need to sue. The police are already looking into it." The room went quiet. Mom's face paled. "Police," she whispered. Amanda's eyes narrowed. "You're bluffing. You wouldn't do that to family." I held her gaze. "Try me." Dad walked in from the garage, wiping his hands on a rag. "What's going on?" he asked, like he'd missed the whole thing. I didn't bother explaining. "Ask them," I said, pointing at Amanda and Nathan. "They'll tell you how they emptied my account." He sighed, like I was the problem. "Alyssa, don't use harsh words. We're family." That word again, family. It felt like a trap. I left without another word, their silence louder than any argument. Back in my car, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just drove, my hands steady on the wheel. For years, I'd been their safety net, catching them every time they fell. But now, I was cutting the ropes. They'd have to face this without me. The next day, Harper called again. We visited the residence. They confirmed using the computer, but claim it wasn't intentional. Said you left it open and they needed help. I snorted. That's their excuse? Harper's tone didn't waver. It's weak, but we're moving forward. The case is strong. You might want to secure your accounts further. I'd already changed every password, added two-factor authentication, locked everything down. They weren't getting near me again. That evening, I sat with a coffee, staring at my spreadsheet. It wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about respect, trust, boundaries, things they'd never given me. I'd spent years thinking if I was generous enough, they'd see me as more than a paycheck. But they didn't. And now I wasn't asking for their approval. I was taking back what was mine. My phone lit up. A text from Amanda, "You're really doing this? Over money?" I didn't respond. Let her think it was just money. It was so much bigger than that. I wasn't fighting for dollars. I was fighting for me. The days after my last visit to Mom's house felt like holding my breath. I went to work, smiled through meetings, but my mind was elsewhere, waiting for Harper's next call. My phone stayed quiet, no texts from Amanda, no voicemails from Mom. The silence was louder than their excuses had been. I kept my spreadsheet open at night, adding details as they came back to me. A $200 Venmo to Nathan last Christmas. $500 for Mom's emergency vet bill. Every entry was a reminder. I'd been bleeding money for them and they'd let me. One morning, I found a voicemail from Harper. "Alyssa, we've got movement. Amanda and Nathan admitted to accessing your account, but claim it was a mistake. They're sticking to the story that you left it logged in. We're escalating to a formal investigation for financial fraud. Your parents are being questioned about their involvement." I replayed it twice, letting the words sink in. Mistake? That was their defense? My hands shook, not from fear, but from the nerve of it. They weren't sorry, they were scrambling. I called Harper back. What happens next? She was all business. We're pulling bank records, cross-referencing their accounts. If the money's traceable, we'll find it. You've got a strong case, your documentation's airtight. I thanked her and hung up, staring at the stack of papers on my desk. Those receipts, screenshots, and bank statements weren't just proof. They were my spine, holding me up when I'd wanted to collapse. That afternoon, my phone buzzed while I was grabbing lunch. A text from Mom. "Alyssa, this is too much. Call me. We can fix this." Fix what? My trust? My savings? I didn't reply. An hour later, Amanda sent a novel. "You're ruining us. My account's frozen. Haley's school fees are late. This is on you. Happy now?" I read it, my jaw tight. Happy? No. But I wasn't guilty either. She'd made her choices. Now she'd face them. I went home and kept digging. I found an old email from Amanda, thanking me for helping with her car payment 2 years ago. "You're a lifesaver," she'd written. I used to believe that. Now I saw it as bait, keeping me on the hook. I saved the email, added it to my file. Every piece was another step away from the Alyssa who said yes to everything. That night, I cooked dinner, actual food, not instant noodles, and ate alone, no one asking for a dime. It felt like a victory. A week later, I got another call from Harper. "We've got something." The $2,800 went to Amanda's account, then split, some to Nathan, some to your parents' mortgage. They're claiming it was shared family funds, but it's shaky. We're preparing charges. Charges. The word hit hard. I'd wanted accountability, but hearing it was real made my stomach twist. Not because I felt bad for them, they'd earned this, but because I'd once thought family meant protection, not betrayal. I thanked Harper and asked, "What do I do now?" She paused. "Stay safe. They might reach out, try to guilt you. Don't engage." She was right. That evening, Nathan called. I let it go to voicemail. His voice was low, fake calm. "Alyssa, come on. This is getting out of hand. Just drop it, and we'll figure it out. No need for cops." Drop it? Like I dropped thousands for him? I deleted the message. The next day, I went to work early, needing the distraction. My manager, Julian, pulled me aside. You okay? You seem off. I hadn't told anyone at work, but he'd noticed. Family stuff, I said, keeping it vague. He nodded. If you need time, take it. You're one of our best. His kindness caught me off guard. No one in my family had ever checked on me like that. I smiled, thanked him, and got to work, pushing through the fog. That night, I went back to Mom's, not for answers, but to see their faces. I didn't call ahead. When I walked in, Amanda was on the couch, scrolling her phone. Nathan was in the kitchen, eating leftovers. Mom sat at the dining table, sorting mail. They froze when they saw me. Why are you here? Amanda snapped, sitting up. I want to hear it from you, I said, crossing my arms. You told the police it was a mistake. Explain that to me. Nathan laughed, bitter. You're really doing this? Dragging us through the mud. I didn't back down. You dragged yourselves. I didn't take my money. You did. Mom stood, her voice soft. Alyssa, we didn't mean harm. We were desperate. Desperate? They'd had my whole savings to lean on for years. Desperate enough to steal? I asked. Amanda threw her hands up. It wasn't stealing. You always helped. We thought you'd be fine with it. I stared at her. You thought wrong. Nathan stepped closer, his smirk gone. You're acting like we're criminals. We're your family. I held his gaze. Family doesn't do this. You crossed a line, and I'm not crossing it back. Dad walked in, looking tired. Enough, Alyssa. You're hurting everyone. Hurting them? I laughed, sharp. You hurt me. Years of taking, and now this? I'm done. Mom reached for my hand, but I stepped back. Please, sweetheart, let's talk. I shook my head. No more talking. You'll hear from the police. I left, their silence chasing me to the car. For the first time, I didn't feel small walking away. Back home, I locked the door and sat on my couch, the weight of it all sinking in. I wasn't just fighting for my money. I was fighting for the years I'd lost, the dreams I'd shelved, the Alyssa I'd buried to keep them afloat. My phone buzzed. Another text from Amanda. You're heartless. I didn't respond. Heartless? No. I was finally using my heart for me. The next morning, I called Harper. What's the timeline? I asked. She was direct. We're finalizing evidence. Amanda and Nathan could face charges soon, fraud, maybe theft. Your parents might be accessories, depending on their role. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. And the money? Harper sighed. Recovery's tricky, but we're tracing it. You did the right thing, Alyssa. Did I? I wasn't sure. But I knew I couldn't keep being their doormat. That weekend, I stayed in, avoiding my phone. No one called, but I didn't expect them to. They were probably huddled, planning their next excuse. I opened my laptop and started writing, not evidence this time, but a letter to myself. You are not their bank. You are not their fix. You are Alyssa, and you deserve better. I read it over, tears stinging my eyes. Not sad tears, angry ones, proud ones. I was done carrying their weight. Monday brought a new email from Harper. We're moving to press charges. Amanda and Nathan have been notified. Expect pushback. Pushback? I was ready. They'd underestimated me for years, but not anymore. I wasn't the quiet sister, the generous daughter. I was the woman who'd had enough, and I was coming for what was mine. The air in my apartment felt different after Harper's email. Lighter, like I'd finally exhaled. Charges were coming. Amanda and Nathan would face the consequences, and my parents might not skate free either. I wasn't gloating, but I wasn't guilty anymore. For years, I'd carried their burdens, thinking that's what family did. Now I saw it clearly. Family doesn't drain you dry and call it love. I went to work the next day, head clearer than it had been in weeks. My desk was a mess of marketing plans, but I dove in, grateful for something to focus on. Around noon, my phone buzzed a number I didn't recognize. I ignored it, but it called again. Voicemail. Nathan's voice, low and tense. Alyssa, You've gone too far. They're freezing our accounts. Haley's school is threatening to kick her out. Fix this. Fix this? Like I'd broken them? I deleted it, my hands steady. His panic didn't pull me back in. That evening, I got a text from Mom. Please, Alyssa. We're losing everything. Talk to me. I stared at it, waiting for the old tug of duty to kick in. It didn't. Her words were just noise now, no different from Amanda's excuses or Nathan's demands. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my spreadsheet, now a fortress of proof. Every dollar they'd taken, every lie they'd told, it was all there. I wasn't fighting to hurt them. I was fighting to stop hurting myself. Harper called the next morning. We've got enough to charge Amanda and Nathan with fraud and unauthorized access. Your parents are trickier. They claim they didn't know the money was taken, just spent what Amanda gave them. We're digging deeper. I nodded, gripping my coffee mug. What about recovery? Harper's voice softened. Some funds are traceable, but it's not guaranteed. Amanda's account shows withdrawals for rent, medical bills, and a chunk to Nathan. Your parents paid down their mortgage. We'll try, Alyssa. I thanked her, hung up, and sat in silence. Recovery wasn't just about money. It was about me. Work kept me sane. Julian noticed my focus and pulled me into a new project, leading a campaign for a big client. You've got this, he said, no hint of doubt. His trust felt foreign, nothing like the trust my family claimed while emptying my account. I threw myself into the work, staying late, sketching ideas. For the first time in years, I wasn't checking my bank balance every hour, bracing for the next crisis call. That weekend, I went back to Mom's, not to talk, but to gauge their next move. I didn't call ahead. When I walked in, Amanda was pacing, phone in hand. Nathan sat at the kitchen table, head down. Mom was folding laundry, her face tight. Dad wasn't there, probably hiding in the garage. You again? Amanda snapped, stopping mid-step. Come to gloat. I'm not gloating, I said, voice calm. I want to know why you think you're the victims here. Nathan looked up, eyes hard. You're destroying us. My job's on the line. Amanda can't pay for Haley's school. This is your fault. My fault? I stepped closer, unflinching. You took my money. You lied. You planned it while I was here, eating with you, laughing with you. Don't tell me I'm the bad guy. Mom dropped a towel, her voice shaky. Alyssa, we didn't mean for this. We thought you'd understand. Understand? I laughed, sharp. Understand what? That you'd steal from me because I'm fine? I'm not fine. I was never fine. I gave up everything for you, trips, savings, peace, and you took more. Amanda crossed her arms. You act like we're living large. It was for survival. Haley needed medicine. We needed rent. Then ask, I shot back. Don't sneak into my account like thieves. Nathan stood, his chair scraping. Thieves? You're calling us thieves. I didn't blink. What else do you call it? You saw my login, waited, and took what wasn't yours. That's not family. That's betrayal. The room went quiet. Mom's eyes filled with tears, but I didn't soften. I'd spent too long softening. Dad walked in, finally. What's all this yelling? He asked, like he'd missed the war. Amanda pointed at me. She's pressing charges, Dad. Wants us all in jail. I shook my head. I want what's right. You took my money, my trust. I'm not letting it go. Dad sighed, heavy. Alyssa, you're being too hard. Family doesn't do this. I stared at him. Family doesn't steal. You did. I left before they could twist it further, their silence heavier than their words. In my car, I didn't shake or cry. I felt steady, like I'd finally claimed ground that was mine. Back home, I locked the door and sat with my laptop, adding their latest excuses to my notes. Not for Harper, for me. To remember why I was doing this. I wasn't the villain, no matter how they spun it. Monday morning, Julian called me into his office. A reporter reached out, asking about a financial case tied to you. We didn't confirm anything, but heads up. My stomach flipped. A reporter? This was getting bigger than I'd expected. Thanks, I said, keeping it cool. He leaned forward. You need time off, just say it. We've got your back. I smiled, genuinely. I'm good. Just handling some things. He nodded, and I left, feeling stronger. Work was my anchor now, not my family. That night, Harper called again. Amanda's been formally charged fraud and theft. Nathan's next, pending a few more checks. Your parents are still under investigation. They're claiming ignorance, but we found transfers to their account they can't explain. I leaned against my counter, processing. How are they reacting? Harper paused. Not great. Amanda's blaming you. Nathan's quiet, which is worse. Stay sharp. I promised I would. My phone lit up an hour later, Mom again. Alyssa, I'm begging. The bank's threatening foreclosure. Help us. Foreclosure? After all I'd given? I didn't reply. Then Amanda, you're killing me. Haley's crying every night. You did this. Haley, that stung, but I knew better. Amanda was using her daughter as leverage, like she'd used me for years. I blocked her number. The next day, I found a letter slipped under my door. No stamp, just my name in Mom's handwriting. Alyssa, I know I failed you. I should have stopped them. Please don't let this break us. I read it, waiting for guilt to hit. It didn't. Her words were too late, too hollow. I tucked the letter into my file, another piece of the story I'd never forget. By Friday, the news hit. A local outlet ran a vague story, unnamed family, financial fraud, ongoing investigation. My name wasn't there, but I knew it was us. Coworkers whispered, but no one asked me directly. Julian just gave me a nod, like he understood. I kept working, head high. Let them talk. I wasn't hiding anymore. That night, I sat by my window, city lights glowing below. I wasn't the Alyssa who'd begged for their approval, who'd wired money at 2 a.m. to keep their lights on. I was someone new, someone who said no, who fought back. My phone stayed quiet, and for once, I didn't dread it ringing. The storm wasn't over, but I was ready for whatever came next. The news story was out there now, a quiet ripple in Seattle's gossip pool. No names, just local family and financial fraud, but I felt the weight of it. At work, I caught sideways glances, but no one asked questions. Julian kept me busy with a new campaign, and I leaned into it, grateful for the distraction. My phone stayed silent, no more texts from Amanda, no calls from Mom. It was eerie, like they'd finally realized I wasn't budging. Or maybe they were just regrouping. Harper called midweek, her voice steady. Charges are filed against Amanda and Nathan, fraud, theft, unauthorized access. Your parents aren't off the hook. We're still tracing their role. Amanda's claiming she borrowed the money, but the evidence says otherwise. I leaned against my kitchen counter, processing. Borrowed? She never asked. Harper snorted softly. Yeah, that's not how borrowing works. We're pushing for restitution, but it'll take time. Time. I'd already given them years. I thanked her and hung up, my mind replaying Amanda's last text, Haley's crying every night. It gnawed at me not because I believed her, but because she'd weaponized her daughter to guilt me. I pulled out my file, now a thick stack of papers, and flipped to a receipt from last year, $400 for Haley's school supplies. I'd paid it without question, thinking I was helping my niece. Now I wondered how much of Haley's needs was just Amanda's excuse. That night, I got an email from an unknown address. Alyssa, it's Nathan. I'm suspended from work. They're auditing my accounts. I can't lose my job. Talk to the police. Say it was a mistake. His tone was desperate, no trace of the smirk I'd seen weeks ago. I stared at the words, waiting for pity to kick in. Nothing. He'd laughed when I confronted him, called me dramatic. Now he wanted mercy? I archived the email, unopened to anyone but me. Work was my lifeline. The campaign was picking up, and Julian trusted me to lead meetings. You're killing it, he said after I pitched to the client. I smiled, the praise sinking in. No one in my family had ever said that, not when I got my job, not when I worked overtime to cover their bills. They'd just taken, assuming I'd always deliver. At least here, my effort meant something. Friday evening, I went to Green Lake Park, needing air. I sat on a bench, watching joggers and families, my mind wandering. I'd always been the strong one, the one who didn't need help. But strong didn't mean unbreakable. I'd cracked years ago, skipping vacations, eating cheap food, wiring money while my savings shrank. They'd never seen it, never asked. Now I was rebuilding, piece by piece, and it started with saying no. My phone buzzed, a text from Dad, short and blunt. Bank sent a foreclosure notice. 30 days. Need your help. No apology, no explanation, just another demand. I pictured him typing it, expecting me to swoop in like always. I didn't reply. Instead, I walked the park's loop, letting the cool air clear my head. Foreclosure was their mess, not mine. I'd already lost enough. The next morning, I met Harper at the precinct. She slid a folder across the table. Amanda's accounts show the $2,800 split, half to Nathan, half to random expenses. Your parents got smaller transfers, labeled loan repayments. They're claiming innocence, but it's flimsy. I nodded, scanning the pages. What's next? Harper leaned back. Court dates are being set. Amanda and Nathan could face jail time if convicted. Restitution's possible, but don't bank on it. I didn't expect the money back. I just wanted them to stop. Leaving the precinct, I felt a shift. Not triumph. Not yet, but relief. I'd stood up and the world hadn't crumbled. My phone stayed quiet all day, a small mercy. That night, I cooked risotto, something I'd always wanted to try but never had time for, thanks to their endless crises. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine, and that was enough. Sunday, I got a call from an old neighbor. Alyssa, there were cops at your mom's yesterday. Financial Crimes Unit, asking questions. Thought you should know. I thanked her, my pulse steady. It was real now, consequences closing in. Amanda's face flashed in my mind, her casual shrug when I'd confronted her. We needed it more. No remorse, no regret. I hoped she felt the pressure now. Monday at work, a coworker mentioned the news story, not connecting it to me. Crazy, right? Stealing from family. I nodded, keeping my face neutral. Crazy didn't cover it. Betrayal did. Julian caught my eye later, like he sensed something. You good? He asked. Yeah, I said, meaning it. Just navigating. He didn't push, and I appreciated that. Trust here wasn't a trap, it was real. That evening, I found another letter under my door, this time from Amanda. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't think it'd go this far. Haley's scared. Talk to me. Sorry? Now? I read it twice, searching for sincerity. It wasn't there, just fear of what she'd lose. I added it to my file, not because I'd use it, but because it proved who they were. Apologies only came when they were cornered. Harper called again Wednesday. Court scheduled for next month. Amanda's lawyer's pushing for a plea, but the evidence is tight. Nathan's not talking, probably hoping it'll blow over. I laughed, dry. It won't. Harper agreed. You've got a spine, Alyssa. Most people don't push this far. I didn't feel brave, just done. Done being their wallet, their fix, their doormat. That night, I sat with my journal, writing one line. I am not their bank. I am Alyssa. It felt like a vow. I'd spent years proving my worth to people who didn't care. No more. My apartment was small, my savings were gone, but I had me, my work, my resolve, my peace. They couldn't take that. Friday brought a surprise, a text from Kelly, a college friend I hadn't talked to in months. Saw the news. Guessing it's you. You okay? I stared at it, warmth creeping in. Someone saw me, not as a tool, but as a person. I replied, I'm getting there. Thanks. Her response came fast. You're stronger than you know. Call if you need me. I didn't call, but I saved the message, a reminder that not everyone took. By Sunday, I felt the tide turning. The case was moving, my family was quiet, and I was standing taller. I went back to Green Lake, sat on the same bench, and watched the world move. Kids laughed, dogs ran, life went on. So did I. The storm wasn't over, but I wasn't afraid. Let them face their reckoning. I was building something new, something mine.